everyone, it's Allison here, also known as Lasan Faye, and today I'm here with how I set up my brand new bullet journal. And this is the bullet journal that I'm going to start January 2018. So this bullet journal is the silver edition for Lloydstrom 1917. Since they've now been around for 100 years, and they came out with 3 metallic colors. This is the silver color. And so before I show you all how I set things up, I didn't record any of the drawing out of my spreads this time, just because I wanted the chance to experiment with them a bit and to, take my time with it without feeling the pressure of trying to make it perfect for you guys on screen. So before I dive in, I want to show you all the supplies I use. I have a whole batch of pens and markers. So I'm going to start with probably the easily identifiable ones, and those are the Tombow dual brush pens. I have 6 of them that I'm using, and the choice in color was to kind of not so much be pastel, but to be icy. And sometimes how different colors look in ice can change how they look overall. And so these are the 6 colors I'm planning on using to add that pop of color into my bullet journal. Even though I'm primarily a minimalist, sometimes having the color there is easier for me visually to see what's going on. So those are my colors, and I'll list the numbers down in the description below. And then let's go with the black ones next. I'm using a couple of different Faber-Castell Pit Artist pens. This is the 1.5 millimeter tip. It's a bullet tip that is in black, and so I'm using it to help me create some really bold lines with black ink as need be. And then for some thinner black lines but that are still fairly bold, I'm using a Staedtler pigment liner in 0.7. And this has just kind of been one of my go-to pens for several bullet journals now, for when I need a nice, bold black line. The 1.5 is just so I can have like even more bold, which I felt with the prettiness of this bullet journal, it was definitely needed. Then I'm using a Tombow Fudenosuke pen for some of my hand lettering and how I do the days. This is what I currently use when I'm setting up my daily pages. I like using it. It's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna keep using it. And then the Pigma Micron pens. This one is in 01. It's what I do most of my writing in, and it's what I currently use as well. In fact, during all the sales of like the last month or so, I think I bought like another 10 of these because I love them so much. So yeah, that's just my own thing. And then I have, a couple of grays and silvers. So the first one, this is probably my lightest gray I have. It's a Staedtler Tri Plus Fine Liner, and I like it. It's providing me a little bit of a hint of this light, warm gray color, and like it's not too obvious when I use it, so it's nice and subtle, and I really, really like it that way. And then I'm also using a Pentel Touch sign pen. This is also a brush pen that is similar to the Tombow Fudenosuke. It's just in this dark gray, which accents this bullet journal really, really well. And then, of course, the piece de resistance, the Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen in silver. And yes, it is bright and bold metallic, just like the cover. And I could not resist using it in this bullet journal. So this is probably my primary silver I use. Actually, it definitely is. But I love it. It works with what I have really well. And how about I show you how well it does? So let's go ahead, open her up. So I haven't filled out the contact information. I almost never do. I also haven't even started filling out my index yet, but that's because I'm not that far in. And so for my first page of the year, I have a What I Know spread. So these are dates and meetings and information that I have that I know from my previous bullet journal. And rather than trying to just make it all work and have my Calendex refer back to another notebook, I decided that I was just going to do this What I Know page as my first page, because I also almost never use a strict calendar, and this is just useful information to have. Having it right up front makes it easy to see. And so I just have what day something is, what it is, and if there's a time associated to it, what time that is. And so then this is like my page 1, and anything that's on here I can now refer to in my Calendex, which is my next full spread. And I love how this came out. I love that I can split it into 6 months, and I have technically actually the calendars of each month right at the top, and it's so, well, pretty, to be honest, but it's actually fairly minimal overall. And you can now see where I'm using the Tombow markers, and where the silver Faber-Castell is being used. And I really, really enjoyed making this page and setting it up. So I'm looking forward to being able to utilize this to its full capacity. And you'll note that the left page is left aligned, whereas the right page is right aligned with the events. That's because I've given 8 potential events on a given day, which almost never happens. But April was kind of an awkward month for me. And so I had the first run into the last line of April, just so that way everything fit. But, you know, I love it. And I don't think it's really terribly obvious, and probably most of you wouldn't have noticed unless I pointed it out. Instead, probably it's my mistake from the first page, where it reads from right to left and then top down. And that was because originally I was going to set it up correctly, and then I started writing February here instead of January. So I rolled with it, kind of gave it a bit of a manga-inspired setup, and yeah, I'm happy with it. So this is how I'm looking at my future planning going into the new year. Then my next page is going to be my goals for 2018. I haven't figured out everything I wanted to do yet, which is why this page is blank outside of the title. And then this page over here is similar to what I had in my last bullet journal, where I'm just splitting up every one of my goals into little tasks and then splitting them by quarters of the year. And that's just to help keep me organized and in an ideal space for everything that needs to happen. Then my next page is my monthly check-in and monthly rhythm. The monthly rhythm page is something I developed just this past term in school, and I really liked it. It was useful to have. So I'm going through setting up my weeks, and so I wanted to have this like right up front where I could see it. And then rather than doing my check marks along with the monthly rhythm, I decided to put them off on the side, split it up by months, and then use little circles to be my check boxes. So things that need to happen twice a month have 2 circles on each division. Things that only happen once a month have 1 circle. And yes, I drew all those circles out by hand. I'm crazy, I know. But this is just such a useful thing for me, and I know I'm going to use it. Now, this next spread is probably going to be one of my stranger spreads, and I call this my project forecast spread. And so this table here is actually 26 squares wide for the first 26 weeks of the year, which happens to actually end at the end of June. And if you look closely here, you'll see that I have the Stadler faint line that splits up each month, but they don't actually fall on the dotted lines. You might be able to see that better down here. And the reason why they're not on the dotted lines is because I actually wanted to have it match how far into the week actually changes between one month and the next. And so it reflects that. It helps me keep my projects organized, my priorities straight, because sometimes my due dates are based upon the month, sometimes they're really based upon the week, which is what it is during the school year. And so that's why I have things built the way that they are. And that is all I have set up so far this year. With the project forecast page, I'm probably going to split it between personal, home, research, and YouTube somehow. I haven't decided like all the projects that I need to have working at a given moment, but you know, it'll build itself as the year finishes out, and I'm looking forward to working with this. And the project color code on here may actually reflect the color code that I'm using on my Calendex. So again, just everything is connected and cohesive and creating one nice picture. So yeah, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something from it or got ideas for how to set up your own bullet journal. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. It helps it get seen by even more people. And if there's something you really liked, go ahead, leave me a comment on it. I'd love to hear about it. And if you want to see more videos by me, click that subscribe button. I could always use more subscribers. But in the meantime, I want you to take care, have an amazing end of the year, happy holidays, and have a wonderful 2018. Bye.